Hello, this is Matt Bergman, and you are listening to the Punk Rock Libertarians podcast, episode 21. I'm here tonight with Jared Schneiderman and Charlie Fletcher. I will refer to him as Chucker.
Chucker?
How's it going, guys?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Pretty sweet.
It's going pretty awesome. I just got engaged. No big deal.
Really? What's his name?
Oh, man. Already with the jokes.
Already with the jokes.
So what did you do for that, man?
Well, it was sort of a last minute thing. I mean, I knew I was going to marry her all along, but the whole ordeal was sort of last minute. It was the day before she was going to fly back to Texas. She lives in Texas right now.
Yeah.
So I rushed in the morning to get her going, and I didn't tell her what we were getting up for, which already kind of made the whole situation stressed. I took her to Federal Hill Park, which if you're not from Baltimore, it's a park that kind of overlooks the city. Has like this whole kind of Sleepless in Seattle romantic vibe going to it, I guess. When, you know, there's not homeless people sleeping in it.
I don't know. I find the homeless to be very romantic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Especially their hand jobs.
Chub worthy.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
I took her out to the park, and the whole entire time I've kind of been sort of a little bit of a weenie about the whole entire thing. And you don't think you're going to get nervous. Like, I know she's not going to tell me no, but you don't think you're going to get nervous when you do it, but you are. You're super nervous. So right. I get her out there. She's stressed out. She just wants to get to the airport. We have the kids with us. And anyway, so we're starting to walk back, and I'm like, I got to do it.
Wait. The kids?
Yes.
Like,
yeah. I have a daughter. She's 9 months now. And stepson, he, for all intents and purposes, my son, he's 4 years old. So... So they were with us. So you don't get time alone when you have kids. No one tells you.
So like you have 2 kids, dude?
2 kids.
I'm just finding out about this, dude.
Really?
Dude. Yeah, dude.
Am I springing you on this? Do you didn't know? Do you want to not commit now?
I don't know, dude. It's kind of weird. No, dude. I'm fine. I was just shocked. I just didn't know.
Yeah. We only let childless people on this podcast.
Oh, damn. Well, that's why. That's why I keep it a secret.
That's not true.
That isn't true at all.
So I'm going there and I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. So I'm telling her a whole story that kind of goes with the whole entire thing. Like last time when we came to the park, I was too much of a pussy to kind of kiss you and and you always give me shit for it and all this, and I don't want to regret it.
So, and dude, she still said yes, despite all your child baggage?
Yeah. Well, no, it's... Yeah. So anyways, I'm about to do it, and then this guy walks by, and right in front of us, his dog just starts shitting. Like in the middle. It's a park. I mean, it's going to happen. Yeah, but so I'm just like, oh, really, dude? Come on. Like, he didn't know, but come on. So then we walk a couple more feet, and I'm like, I have to keep going with the story, just trying to like bring it all in, get her mind off the dog shit. And then no shit, like 2 more people come through, and their dogs just shit right in front of us.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So by the time we ended up doing it, we're no longer in the park. We're basically next to the car, and I do it there. I was so miffed. I didn't even get down on one knee or anything. I just kind of said, Anyways, it wasn't how I pictured it going, and it never is, I guess. But, she said yes and all that, so we're engaged. Nice. I love her.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Sweet.
So what's going on in your life, Matt?
I don't know, man. The same old shit. Just work and... working on the website.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
a lot of time going into that.
Yeah, and a lot of Call of Duty as well. Okay, maybe not that much Call of Duty. Like when I have a spare second, I might play a couple games. I was hanging out with my nephew this weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, so
sweet.
Yeah, and we were playing some COD.
Some COD.
Modern Warfare 2.
Ooh,
playing the ancient game.
Throwing it back, old school style.
Yeah, dude. That's pretty much the only game that I've been playing recently. So
that's good, except for Pocket Pool, right?
Right, except for Pocket Pool.
Speaking of Pocket Pool,
yeah.
Are you guys planning on voting for Deez nuts this election cycle? I asked a serious question, man.
I don't know, dude. Can I ask you a question first?
Sure.
Bofa is coming to town. I'm getting some tickets. Do you want me to pick you up on?
Who?
Bofa. Bofa D's nuts.
Oh, shit, dude.
Yeah.
I had never heard that before.
Wow, dude. That's special, dude.
I'm adding it to my repertoire, though.
Hey, while we're on the subject, do you like dragons?
Yeah, I love dragons.
Because I'm gonna be dragging these nuts all across your face.
Well, now that every listener has turned off our podcast.
Okay. Dude, don't be mad that you just got caught with like 2 in a row, dude.
Don't worry, there's only about 20 more minutes of this. Just Deez nuts jokes.
Yeah. So yeah, Deez nuts is actually a 15-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Where is he from? Wisconsin?
Iowa. Close.
And he somehow basically like gamed the election system and ended up in a variety of different polls and actually managed to get 9% behind Hillary and I guess it was Trump.
Yeah, I think Hillary and Trump, like one of them got like 20 and the other one got 21, I believe. It was something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty awesome just because like Trump's like totally fucking ridiculous.
And so is Hillary.
Yeah, and then so is Hillary, totally. But I don't know. I feel like who's more ridiculous though, Hillary or Trump? I feel like Trump's more ridiculous.
I mean, he's more ridiculous when you just compare him to a typical politician. I
mean, they're different kinds of ridiculous. Is really what I think it comes down to.
Okay, dude. Like, question. Okay, so if somebody had a gun to your head, right? In which who knows? This country's becoming more and more free every day. This could happen by the next election. If somebody has a gun to your head and they're like, "Who are you going to vote for, Hillary or Trump?" and you have to choose one.
Oh, without a doubt, Trump.
You'd vote for Trump over
instantly,
Hillary,
just because it's a train wreck that I want to see happen.
Yeah,
I'd go with that, dude.
Hillary's just going to be like the same boring bullshit. Yeah, it's going to suck. It's going to get worse.
Yeah, but you know what you're getting.
There's no flair.
You know what you're getting. It's like Donald Trump could he could usher in the apocalypse, dude. You know what I mean? I feel like any of these people could, but
that might be a good thing, though.
Right?
Yeah, totally. I'm with you on that, dude. Maybe the problem is the solution. You know, maybe like Donald Trump is like the highest, utmost ridiculous form of statism imaginable.
Dude, but what if he actually ushers in a utopia?
Dude, I don't know, man.
And we're all just wrong. And
how, man?
I don't know.
What has he said that would make you lead to believe that?
I don't know, dude. I'm just saying.
Trumptopia.
Anything's possible.
Have you guys ever seen him in WWE?
In WWE?
Yes, he had like a whole skit wrestling conspiracy thing on WWE.
Really?
Play out, yeah.
No, that sounds awesome.
And this man is going to be your next leader.
Well, I don't know that being in WWE would disqualify you.
No. I mean, it's just, I don't know. The whole thing's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, he's a character.
30,000 people showed up to see him in Alabama recently. 30,000.
So what's up with the Deez nuts poll? Like, do you have any? Does anybody know like the details of the poll? Like, where was the poll taken?
It was the one that if you're talking about the one that's been circulating on YouTube, it was in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. Trump had 40, Clinton had 38, and Deez nuts had 9.
Right.
And
so it's basically like 9 people.
Yeah, I don't know how they did the survey.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But I can imagine if they brought me that survey and it said Donald Trump, blah, 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 and I saw Deez nuts on it, I would be like, done.
Hell yeah.
Deez nuts.
I'm surprised like everybody didn't just fucking mark Deez nuts.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's kind of, I mean, I think it's really cool that, like this headline hits, and I think it really does like just show like the ridiculousness of the political system, while at the same time I think it's really sad that Deez nuts didn't do better against Hillary and Donald Trump, because I mean I think everybody here is agrees, we should be more concerned about the people that are voting for or that are choosing Hillary or Trump in this poll. I mean, of course.
No,
yeah. That's just
I think that the people that voted for it probably understood what, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
The others didn't get it. Like, who's this nuts guy? I wonder what his platform is,
Yeah.
Actually, if you go, he has a website, and he lists his platform on there, and it's fairly libertarian. I think and this is, as we said before, I think like a 15-year-old kid, but I think he did a couple interviews and basically said that he is essentially a libertarian. And if you read through his platform, I mean, his immigration thing was a little off. He just wanted to deport all illegals, which is essentially what Trump wants to do. But aside from that, I think he was like good on like the drug war and anti-war. I can't exactly recall his positions, but I do remember saying like, okay, it's not like a complete joke where he's like, I want to give everybody mushrooms and or something crazy. But yeah, no, it's cool to see. It's cool to see somebody somehow figuring out how to hijack the system and just show it for the farce that it is.
Yeah, like, I don't know. So now that he's 15, does that mean like he's like officially off the ballot or whatever, or how does that work?
Yeah, I heard.
Well, you can't get elected for president, but can you run for president?
No, I don't think so. I think it would be you'd be disqualified from the whole thing. Even to qualify, you have to be 35, right? And
yeah,
I believe so. 35.
So yeah, I think they're trying to find someone to surrogate for it. So. Anyone who's 35? Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Just kidding, not 35.
35 and willing to change their legal name to Deez Nuts, to be clear.
Oh, shit, yeah. Dude, I would totally fucking do that.
It'd be worth it.
I would do that in a heartbeat. Yeah, like seriously.
That'd be awesome, dude.
Yeah, I think so. I would do it.
So, all right. So let's move on to something a little more serious. Shit's been going on in Korea.
Oh yeah.
You want to go in on that a little bit? You seem to know a little more.
Yeah, I could basically talk about it. So I don't know. I've actually been to both North and South Korea. North Korea, sort of. I've been to the DMZ there. Wow. A lot of people don't know this, but they actually have a propaganda village set up in the South that the South Korean government pays farmers to farm there. Because of how dangerous it is, and they basically show that South Korea is like this great place. North Korea also has a propaganda village directly across the border from theirs, and they both have loudspeakers and blare propaganda at each other. The South hasn't done it in a long time. North continues to. So the South started doing it, started blaring all this propaganda, and then trying to shoot like TV broadcast waves into North Korea to try and do just the whole bullshit that's always been going on there. Well, I guess North Korea got pissed off because it's the first time South Korea's done it in 25 years, and Kim Jong-un's like, I'm not playing that shit. Like, you need to fucking shoot that tower down. And so he instructed his artillery to shoot at the propaganda tower in the South. And so when they did, then the South Koreans were like, oh shit, North Korea's firing at us. So then they started shooting their artillery back where the South Korean artillery came from. And now it's turned into this whole big thing, and North Korea is basically saying that they're prepared to go to war and that they're gearing up to light it off. And South Korea is basically saying, well, bring it.
Wow. So what are the odds of an actual war breaking out?
It's hard to say. I mean, they've had skirmishes on the border there from time to time, like firing back and forth. This is certainly a pretty big deal. It's a lot bigger of a deal. Something similar happened a while back where North Korea shot at some abandoned islands that South Korea had, and it was a big deal. But obviously with shooting at actual military personnel back and forth with artillery is a little more serious. So it's something to watch out for. Yeah.
What are the odds of the U.S. getting involved?
If North Korea attacks South Korea, the U.S. will absolutely get involved 100%.
Yeah.
We basically... we're fully committed to it.
Do you think that's why South Korea is like, bring it?
I think they know. So there's this weird thing in South Korea. Some of the South Koreans don't want us there, obviously, because they see it as an occupation. And then so it's this duality of like, we don't really want America here, but at the same time, we understand that like, if America was to leave, we'd be basically on our own. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think that probably has something to do with it. I think people would be more concerned if the U.S. wasn't there, but the U.S. is fully committed. So if stuff does pop off, North Korea goes in, the U.S. 100%, there's no doubt in my mind we would get involved. I mean, we have hundreds of thousands of troops, or over 100,000 troops in that area just dedicated to protecting Taiwan and South Korea pretty much. So,
wow.
That'd be pretty crazy.
That's some pretty scary shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't really... I had heard a little bit about that, but it hadn't... I guess... that should be big news.
Yeah, you would think so.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just the news circles I run in didn't really highlight it. That's interesting, though.
So, the whole U.S. is starting to pivot their whole strategy away from the Middle East and towards Asia now, because everyone's kind of seeing that as like the future of like the center of where world geopolitics is going to come to a head. So...
Yeah, weren't you saying something about how China instituted or is trying to institute their own world reserve currency?
Yeah, for the first time. They've talked about it with Russia in the past, but for the first time they're actually starting to take meaningful steps towards creating their own reserve currency, and they basically want to create a world alternative to the dollar bill. So that's a pretty big deal. Start their own World Bank type scenario. There's some concern over China, obviously, because they manipulate their markets. The government does.
Yeah.
And their market just crashed recently, but... So.
Yeah, that is definitely another pretty important yet probably not very much discussed thing, because I mean, you know, right now the dollar is the world reserve currency, and it's basically what props up the dollar is the fact that pretty much everyone trades in it.
Oh yeah.
And if they get, you know, serious competition from China, that could mean just a lot of shit going down.
Yeah, it'd be a huge big deal. Ginormous. So
you guys think that would be good?
I think there's always a part of me that's kind of like, I want to see what happens. That's kind of like how I am on a lot of stuff. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely good to have competition, right?
I mean, ideally, that's the way currency would be. You know, it wouldn't be something that the government forces everyone to use.
So the question is basically, like, would it be good if China backed their currency?
Ooh, or replace the U.S. dollar as the world reserve currency, maybe.
Well, I mean, isn't there new currency? Like, aren't they looking to like back it with gold or something?
China?
Yeah.
I know that they've been importing lots of gold and other resources to try and back it. I don't know that it'd be completely backed.
See, what if they did that?
I doubt it would be completely backed.
Okay, but like, what if they did?
You can't run a government that way.
Would it be good or bad?
See, it's hard to say, because in one aspect you're like, oh yeah, that'd be a great idea, but then you have to look at the track record of the Chinese government and the fact that, like, if you don't trust the U.S. government to really do the right thing, China is almost certainly, I mean, their policy is we do what's best for China, you know. Like,
yeah.
So, and they have a one-party system. So, I mean, I guess you're kind of screwed either way, right?
Yeah, but I don't
know. I mean, like, I think if they did well with a backed currency, hopefully other countries would learn from that.
Yeah.
So
possibly. But it's interesting to see how that would play with other currencies that aren't backed.
Yeah,
I mean, what I mean?
Yeah, to see how the world would respond and all that. So, but I mean, that's kind of the world we're living in today. Everything's in this transitional stage from like post-Cold War to like what's going to happen next. You know what I mean? And we're kind of on that precipice.
Yeah. I guess we'll wait and see what happens with that. Switching gears a little bit, just came out that George Carlin has, or the FBI has it
was a 12-page file.
12-page file on George Carlin, the comedian.
Yeah, apparently all because he told jokes about the government. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I wonder how many other comedians. I mean, like, I wonder if Bill Hicks. I mean, he said a lot of shit against the government.
What about like even Joe Rogan?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. I mean, and then who else? I'd say definitely like Doug Stanhope.
Yeah, Doug Stanhope.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, sort of not to play status advocate, but is that a big deal to have an FBI report on a celebrity?
To me, it seems like a fucking huge waste of money. You know what I mean? Because there's some asshole somewhere where that's his job, is to write those reports. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, that's got to be an easy job, though. You just fucking listen to his stand-up.
Right? Yeah. How do I get that
awesome.
job? Right? Yeah. Like,
and just be like, yeah, he talked about the government here. He said some shit about the president here. Okay.
So, I mean, what are you saying? Do you think there should be like a report on anybody who's important?
I'm not saying there should be. I'm just saying, like, I wonder if it's more prevalent than...
Are you a narc, Jared?
What are you advocating, Jared?
I'm not advocating shit, all right? I'm just saying...
What are you status advocating?
I'm just saying I wonder, you know, like we just talked about some other comedians that might have lists. I just wonder if anybody who says anything and has some sort of celebrity spotlight, I wonder if they just automatically have maybe a one-pager.
That's... Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I was going to say. What's interesting about it to me is that, like, where do you think they drew the line then? If they're already at comedians and, like, getting 15-page reports on a comedian,
right?
Who else and, like, where else?
Yeah.
It was a 12-page report, though.
Oh, 12-page. Sorry, I gave him too much credit.
Yeah. I wonder, like, you know, especially with the internet now, I wonder if they're following, well, you know, sites like ours, or maybe sites that are larger than ours, and maybe jotting down some names and, you know, maybe not our site, but like something like Free Thought Project that gets millions of hits, or Free Talk Live,
dude,
which is like a
national. Stop giving them ideas, dude.
I mean, dude, if they're listening to this podcast, we're already fucked.
Hey, government.
If the FBI is listening to this, we're already fucked.
On the real, though, did you guys know this? The government actually pays people to go onto web forums now and counter propaganda. Do counter propaganda with people on web forums. There's a group set up to do this.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
maybe that's who's like trolling punk rock libertarians right now.
Totally, dude.
FBI informants or whatever.
It's. I mean, as far as I know, it started with the whole jihadist thing. Like, they go on jihadist websites and try and get like people who are experts in the fields to counter some of the talking points. Yeah. But I'm sure it's probably spread beyond that.
I mean, that I can sort of get behind, I guess. But not combating fucking libertarianism. That's bullshit.
Or, I mean, really any ism. You know, anybody that's you know,
I'm just saying, if
not suggesting violence. I mean, it's not your fucking business. That's your freedom of speech. You know, that's your freedom of thought.
Right. No, yeah. I'm just saying, like, for something like terrorism.
Yeah.
Speaking of celebrities, my namesake, Jared of Subway fame, was recently busted for child pornography. I guess it was the FBI raided his home in somewhere, it doesn't matter. Found a whole bunch of shit on his computer. Apparently he had been going across state lines to have sex with a minor, and so it looks like he's pretty fucked.
As a fellow Jared, how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, it already sucked sharing the name with the guy when he was just like a normal fat dude that lost a bunch of weight. That was pretty brutal. And then I get the whole Jared Jeweler shit all the time. It's Jared. Yeah, he went to Jared. But yeah, I mean, this is obviously much worse than that. So I'm not too happy about it.
It's definitely it's some crazy shit, dude.
That's all you can really say, right? You know what I mean? Like, no one. I don't know.
Well, you know, did you guys see the memes where it's like this dude's in a prison? It's like this like huge dude, and he's like, "Don't worry, Jared, you can get a foot long in here." Like,
that's fucked up.
Like, I mean, is it fucked up? It's basically like,
I think,
and no, because here's the thing, dude. Like, everybody, like, I actually shared that meme on Facebook. You can see it on Punk Rock Libertarians on Facebook, and like so many people, of course, a lot of people liked it, and a lot of people shared it. But then there was a number of people that were saying, you know, the prison rape isn't something to joke about, blah blah blah. God. And you know, I mean, dude,
well, I think they have a point.
Well, yeah, I think they do too. I think prison rape's definitely,
especially when people want to go around and talk about this whole idea of rape culture.
I mean, it's fucking disgusting, but I mean, like,
it's a joke. It's a joke. No, you weren't being. No, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
a joke serious.
Right.
But at the same time, is there justice any more poetic than a rapist getting raped?
No, I mean, I can only think of worse things to happen to him. That's, you know what I mean?
I mean, is that the kind of justice system we want? That's an eye for an eye like that?
No, I mean, I'm not saying that you want to like advocate it, but I'm sorry, I'm just not going to feel sorry for a rapist who gets raped.
No, probably not.
I mean, you know, if anybody's going to get raped, I mean, that's all I'm saying. I mean, you know, I don't think people in, you know, jail for nonviolent crimes, you know, drug crimes should be raped. But I mean, like a rapist or like a murderer, you know. You know, with that being said, I mean, I'm definitely a person that's always like, I've always pointed out how it's fucked up that's like so accepted.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you're gonna go to jail, you know, and you're gonna get raped, you know. You know what I mean? It's like this funny thing. And I mean, I've made jokes about it too, but I mean, it's like I make jokes about all sorts of things that are fucked up, you know.
Yeah.
I think those are the funniest jokes. But it's
one thing to make a joke about, and it's another thing to just actually believe that it's acceptable, that that's a part of our prison system.
Yeah, but at the same time, you know, once again, I'm not going to warn as much. I'm not going to mourn as much for a rapist who was raped in prison.
Right.
You know, it's just like
that's
what you get. You know,
that's fair.
Yeah.
So, what are we calling you, Charles?
Chucker.
Chucker?
Apparently.
Chucker.
Theme song.
You motherfucker.
There we go. There we go.
There it is. That's going to be the bumper for the beginning of the show.
Put my dick in your mouth, then you sucker. Dude, I got the theme song already, dude.
Sweet. We're good on that.
Dude, I hope the record label's listening because they're going to sign you after that shit. So, yeah, you were talking about how... Was it like Farrakhan was saying something about...
Oh, yeah, okay. So... Farrakhan, I guess, put out a meme himself. He might have seen your meme, perhaps. Does he follow punk rock libertarians? I don't know if we know that.
Maybe. Definitely.
You never know, man. I'm sure somebody from the U.S. government follows it. So yeah, but would Farrakhan follow it? Probably not.
So he put out a meme basically saying that during the Bill Cosby whole rape situation, that they did a breaking news report on Cartoon Network, interrupting Cartoon Network and talking about Bill Cosby's thing. But that basically Jared Fogle has been getting a pass from the media on all this because he's white.
Yeah, I mean, that just sounds like straight race baiting to me.
Yeah, I mean,
number one,
I don't think he is getting a pass. I think plenty of people are talking about it.
Yeah, I think that's bullshit.
I don't know. Like at the same time,
do you think it's funny that he mentioned Cartoon Network? Like, out of all the networks, he's like, clearly the media is not giving him his due justice. Like, Cartoon Network.
I think he was trying to point out that even Cartoon Network was talking about Bill Cosby.
No, I get that, but...
I mean,
Bill Cosby, you're talking about...
With Bill Cosby, I got tired of hearing about it.
Yeah.
You know? It's like... It's like with the Jared thing, though. I think it's going to be gone and done pretty quick because, you know, he was just caught and he's already pled guilty.
Yeah, he's pled guilty.
Yeah, I mean, it's all like, it's just over and done with, like, really quick.
Well, not only that, but Bill Cosby, like, I think it's bigger. He's a household name, you know what I mean? Like, I grew up knowing who Bill Cosby was.
He's a household name, and he played...
a father figure.
Yeah, exactly.
It turns out he's some scumbag that drugs and rapes women for probably over a decade doing it.
Right. So, I mean, you can't be that surprised that it's getting more coverage over a longer period of time. Also, because, like you said, like the Jared thing is pretty much wrapped up.
Yeah, the Cosby thing.
Whereas Cosby is getting
on forever.
Dragged on. Yeah. He's going to fight it in court. You know, who knows what's going to happen. So, I mean, I don't know. To say that it's racial basis sounds just completely nonsensical to me.
Yeah, like shortly after he got caught, like I went to like my local Subway and I asked the kids that worked there. I was like, so dude, like what happened? Did they just take down all the Jared stuff the next day? He's like, yeah, the owner called up and we had to take it down that morning. You know?
Wow. So they actually had Jared stuff up still.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I was watching it on CNN while ordering a foot-long sub. I asked the ladies behind the thing, I was like, is this pretty surreal for you? Like, you work at Subway and they're talking about...
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty crazy. I mean, I'm not surprised they immediately took down his shit, though.
No, yeah, it's totally, dude. If you own a fucking Subway, you know...
Yeah.
Right away, you're thinking, okay, this might not be good.
I wonder if it's hurt their business at all.
I don't... Dude, I've ate there since then.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I wouldn't stop going there.
It's not happening, so...
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that it should. I'm just... People are stupid.
Are you calling us stupid?
No, I'm saying you're the opposite of stupid.
I get that now.
Yeah, but we also earlier were talking about basically which do you think is worse, what Cosby was doing or what Jared was doing?
I think without a doubt. Well, I don't know. Are they really even comparable, do you think? Like,
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's... Yeah. What are you doing? Oh. We just made our own little pop filter here. So what was I saying? Yeah.
So yeah, what's worse?
So what it's basically saying
what
like
Jared was doing.
Date rape and drugging women, raping them, or looking at exploited children in a sexual manner and then paying to have sex with minors.
I don't know. It's like, well,
I mean, I would say, I mean, having the sex with a minor is probably the thing that would put it over the edge for me.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if he's looking at pictures, like, I understand how that contributes to the people that create the pictures, so it does harm kids indirectly, but he's not directly harming kids if he's just looking at the picture. I'm not advocating it at all. Let me get
totally.
Let me get that out there.
Yeah, sure.
But if we're going to compare the things, I mean, you're talking about Cosby, who allegedly raped like 15 women, something like that. You know, by drugging them, luring them into his hotel room. You know, I mean, it's super, super fucked up shit. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, didn't Jared had sex with the underage girl, right?
Right.
Or was it a few?
Yeah, a couple. I mean, they were...
Like, do we know the ages, too?
15 to 17, I want to say. That's what we know.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think both are pretty horrible. But, yeah, it's like... the whole like picture thing, like my thing about that is like, how did they know he was doing that? You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, it's just pretty creepy. Where they just is the government just monitoring like everything that you Google, and apparently they are.
Well, I know. I mean, it's likely the ISPs are monitoring, and maybe, I mean, who knows what they're monitoring? But I'm sure if they are, they have some sort of filter set up. You know, someone Googles child porn or some related keywords, I'm sure that sets off some kind of red flag or trigger.
I just want to know where this exists. You know what I mean? Like, how do you even go finding that?
What
you know
what
I mean? Like,
where child porn exists?
Yeah, like is there like underground rings and circles that this goes on, or is it like on the internet or in person or like?
I mean, in my knowledge, a lot of it goes on in like the dark net. Are you familiar with like Silk Road?
Right, yeah, like the Tor website.
Yeah, exactly. Like, to my knowledge, not that I go there, but from what I've read, that's where a lot of the shit goes down, which is why a lot of people don't like the idea of having a dark net, because a lot of it is seedy.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. You know, anytime you can have anonymity, you know, people are going to take advantage of that. So it's not necessarily the medium that's bad. It's just there are bad people out there, and they're going to do what they're going to do. And if the tool's available, they'll use it. But, you know, I mean, I'm an advocate for the dark web. I'm an advocate for things like Silk Road and similar sites. But yeah, I mean, that would be my guess. But I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely pretty creepy to think about people, you know, watching what you're looking at on the internet.
Oh yeah, yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, didn't you work for the NSA, man?
Oh wow, called out. Yeah, I did for 3 years actually.
What were you doing?
I basically I designed and deployed systems to tactical and special events.
Okay,
that makes sense.
Yeah. I imagine that's all you can really say.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're a large organization. They're the largest intelligence organization in the U.S. I don't know how many people actually know that, but
I kind of assume.
Thousands of people work for them. Their budget's probably at least 5 times bigger than any other agency. They can dictate down to military units to have them do things, too. They're one of the only agencies that could do that. Pretty big, scary stuff.
So, like, what years did you work for them?
I would say in the 2000s. I don't want to. Yeah.
Okay.
In the 2000s, before 2010. So yeah.
Okay. So like, so
you weren't there
before
when
you got into like libertarianism, or?
No, it was kind of. I was still involved in all that. I was actually in the military. I got orders to go there. To actually get assigned there. I wanted to go to shore duty. I was on ships. I constantly deployed. And then they were all like, I want to get out. And I was telling them I was going to get out. And then they finally gave me orders to shore duty. And so I ended up taking it. Got assigned there. Got tasked to a special unit. Did special projects for a while, designing specific systems for specific things, and sort of traveling around doing that whole thing. So
interesting.
It's I will say that
so you're saying you worked at the NSA while identifying as a libertarian?
Yeah.
Wow. So did that I don't know, what was that like?
Well, this is before the whole Snowden thing happened. Capabilities wise, there's always some stuff that kind of surprises you when you hear about you hear rumors working there about and just different stuff. And so I think I left there right after or right before all the Snowden stuff started to come out, and it really wasn't the area I worked in. It would actually surprise you a lot that there are a lot of libertarians that work there, actually. It wasn't just that I hung out with libertarians there. It was always me running into people at conversations that worked in different divisions or people I worked around. You end up talking about politics, and you'd be surprised how many people who identify as being kind of constitutionalist, libertarian, end up working in those fields.
How do they reconcile that?
A paycheck?
I think for some, honestly, they just didn't talk about it a lot. I was pretty vocal. I was deployed to Iraq, and I actually got into a big fight with a lot of people in Iraq over why we were in Iraq. And one of them were like, "Oh, you're one of these morons that think that they hate us, or that we're responsible for 9/11 and all this, and it's our fault, and you're just apologizing for the terrorists and stuff like this." And so I get into these big fights with these people, and it just sort of plays out when you're in the military too. I joined the military, and right after I joined the military, we went to war in Iraq. And right. I was much more militant, I would say, about my politics when I first joined, just because I was a lot younger and stuff.
Young and idealistic.
Yeah. So I wanted to save the world, and then when that started happening, there were a lot of people on the aircraft carrier I was on. We got deployed to the Arabian Gulf. Our unit dropped more ordnance than any other unit in the military, and we literally had planes landing. They would take off with bombs, come back with nothing on the wings, and they would circulate the pilots and just keep the jets on the flight deck, put a new pilot in, refuel it, put more bombs on it, take off again. 24/7 sorties. Wow. They shut down our chow halls so they could build more bombs because we ran out of ammunition to drop.
Jesus.
So there were a lot of people, especially people that built the bombs and stuff like that. I knew some people that were even more on the kind of far left side who were pretty distraught over what was happening. And it's like this thing where you're kind of there and you can't leave, and you're expected to do a job. And then it's fucking weird, man. It's weird. It really is weird being put in that position, doing stuff that you may not agree with.
Wow. I mean, it kind of blows my mind that there are that many people there that don't agree with it. It's like, why would you volunteer for it in the first place?
I mean, a lot of people like me, man, honestly, I was like this crusty political punk kid, and I did it. I have no idea why I did it, to be honest.
Was it like one of those things where you just felt like you needed some direction in life, you need something to do, so it's like, oh, maybe I'll join the military and that'll set me on a course?
Honestly, I think I did it mainly just to make my parents happy. I did a lot of crazy...
So your parents fucking were like, Chucker, join the military.
Well, they want me to do something.
It'll be awesome.
You have to understand, man, I didn't graduate high school. I got in legal trouble when I was younger. I remember one time my mom got called by the police. They had to take me to a hospital. I had my eye patched up because I got in a fight with another train hopper kid. It was just crazy. So my mom was always like, you're going to end up dead or in jail. She's like, I just know that's what's going to happen to you. And so she finally came around to the whole military thing. And I had a lot of guilt about stuff that I had done, put them through, having to deal with all my bullshit. So I was just like, oh, fuck, I'll do it. And then the whole time I'm thinking, I'm never going to actually do it. And then 8 years later,
there you are.
But yeah, I deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan, and I don't know, it's weird, man. It's just weird being in a circumstance where you kind of are doing something you may not agree with, and then you see how people are over there, and you come back to the U.S. and you're like, man, you just get pissed off at people when you first come back. You know what I mean? You're already paranoid because they make you paranoid. They send you through all this types of training to make you paranoid about everything. And I remember one time I freaked the shit out of my girlfriend when I first came back from Afghanistan because I heard something in the house, And I started loading my gun. I had a gun next to my bed. And I started loading it, and I was about to go start walking through the house. So, like, I lived in Baltimore City and all that, and my neighbors had their houses robbed. And she woke up and she saw me like loading the gun, you know what I mean? And was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I was like, "I think there's someone downstairs," and like started clearing the house like in a war zone or something. And you just you get really angry and frustrated about everything. And
so would you say, did you suffer any sort of PTSD?
I think it's just the general paranoia. Like I said, they make you paranoid about everything. Set of rocks on the road, new pavement, black spot on the road, pile of rocks, pile of sticks, anything out of the ordinary. They basically have it in your brain that could be an IED, like meant to kill you or your friends. And they're telling you like the whole time, like, do what you got to do to survive. Like if you have to shoot someone, like a little kid, because he's pointing a gun at you, then that's what you got to do, because it's either going to be you or him. And you just get this mentality that like the whole world's out to fucking kill you. You know what I mean? And it weighs down on you after a while. So, and then you go over there and you see people come back dead, and they bring the bodies through, and you know they salute them, and I don't know. I won't go on about it forever, but it's just it's a crazy thing, and you interface with Afghans over there. You see the fucked up way they're living and how they're caught in the middle of everything, and then you come back to the U.S. and people are just dickheads for no reason, and you're like, it pisses you off, man.
Yeah, they just don't appreciate what they have.
Yeah, I guess to a certain extent. That, and it's general frustration and paranoia and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. It takes a while for you to figure it out.
I think we wanted to talk about Black Lives Matters and how they've been interrupting various Democratic candidates. I think they interrupted a Bernie Sanders speech, basically just stole the mic from him, and he never got it back. They just kept preaching their stuff to his crowd. And then I saw briefly, maybe one of you guys knows a little more about it, but there's like some like sort of backroom interview with Hillary Clinton and two people from Black Lives Matters. Oh
yeah. She apparently was trying to tell them her stance on everything, and they basically said, leave the black community alone, just talk to white people. And she said basically, yeah, that's fine. Fine, if that's why you guys are gonna play it, I'll just go talk to them, to my crowd, and you guys could talk to your crowd. And they went on, and she was quoted as saying like, I'm not interested in changing people's hearts or changing people's minds. I'm interested in creating laws and changing systems and money allocation.
Yeah, I mean, that aspect of it I somewhat agree with. I mean, look, you're not going to be able to convince racists to not be racist. But what you can do is not have that racism be institutionalized. You can have racist cops, but you can have policies that prevent their racism from affecting people, possibly. So... But I don't like what she said about, like, oh, we need to create laws. That's where she went wrong there. But, yeah. Did you see that interview at all, Matt?
Yeah, I watched, like, a couple minutes of it, turned it off.
Yeah? Didn't interest you?
Nah, I mean, not really.
I mean, the thing I find funny about it is that, like, Democrats are not used to this kind of thing happening to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a cool part of it.
Yeah, so they're always like... Do you guys know we're on your team? We're the Democrats.
So why aren't they doing the Republicans as well?
I guess they figured
Trump said he would he said something like he would punch out anybody who tried to interrupt his speech.
Get out of here.
Yeah. I think he said something like that on Twitter.
That's so funny.
But yeah, I just like it. So then the next day, after that Bernie Sanders thing, the Democrats put out that like, oh, the real Black Lives Matter movement came out and condoned what all these other little Black Lives Matter groups are doing, because they're not really, they shouldn't be attacking us basically because we're on their side.
Condoned or condemned?
Or condemned.
Okay.
Sorry, not condoned.
But I mean, like, who's in charge of the Black Lives Matters? Isn't it just like a fucking hashtag?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Like who claims to be like
who has domain over the hashtag?
The Democratic Party apparently.
I don't know, man.
It's like, the official Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah. I mean, how do you become official?
I don't know. You get important people to think you're official or vouch for you, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just like it when it happens to Democrats, because they always think of themselves as being on, like, the good side. And then it turns out that, like, these people, no, we think you guys suck too. Like, you know,
yeah,
what I mean?
It's like the same thing with like Occupy Wall Street. Like, what was the deal with that? Was it like, wasn't there like an official group or something?
Yeah. That actually did have an official group.
So somebody was like, was it like a LLC or something, or like
there was some fiasco.
It was a trademark.
It was a council. It was a council of mainly like socialists, communists. I think there were some ANCAPs on there, anarchists.
Yeah, they had a foundation set up where they were receiving donations, and I think I heard something like somebody embezzled some of that money, or it didn't go to what people thought it was going to go to. Which is like, what is it going to go to? Are they going to pay for tents for these people to fucking camp out in New York?
Yeah, I mean, that should be what they were paying for.
Is anybody still occupying?
That's a good
Seriously.
question. Like
Hearts and minds.
who has talked about? Who has talked about?
Like, when did that officially? When did the last tent get taken down?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm curious. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So any more juice on that? No.
Okay.
Let's see here. What is this? Oh, so a Wisconsin school district is going to start randomly drug testing their students. That's pretty fucked up. Apparently, it's going to be random testing. Every 2 weeks they will randomly draw people's names, and I guess if you get busted, they'll take you out of school programs like I guess like you can't go to prom, and then
or like, you know, sports teams or whatever.
Yeah.
But apparently they're not going to expel anybody, and they're not going to call the cops.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's pretty fucking crazy. On many different levels. I mean, for one, so what you want to do is you want to take kids that are using drugs. You know, not that all kids that are using drugs are necessarily doing bad things, but you want to take them out of school programs that would normally possibly keep them from doing drugs. And so take that away from them, so now they have even more incentive to just not give a fuck and, you know, do more drugs potentially. That seems a little backwards to me. It's like the whole idea of like expelling someone. I mean, so you want to take a kid that's having trouble in school, that's acting out, and you want to take and just basically just keep him at home where he can, you know, most likely his parents aren't going to be there, because that might be one of the reasons he's fucking up in the first place. So now he's at home, no one's watching him. You know, how is that going to work out for anybody?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that that really grinds my gears about it is like it seems like it just it conditions children at a young age to you know, like the infringement of their privacy. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's what really pisses me off mostly.
And on top of that, it also sets, you know, it goes off of like what we've talked about with like DARE. You know, it creates this idea that drugs are bad, and, you know, all drugs are bad, and if you're using drugs, this is a problem, you know, blah, 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 all that shit. So it's another form of miseducation. And yeah, on top of that, you know, they're losing their privacy. Their essentially their Fourth Amendment rights are getting violated. I guess you can make an argument that they're not forcing them to do it or whatever, but still, it's fucked.
So yeah, I mean, like if you're bringing up kids to like have them you know, get used to this you know, rights infringement at that young of an age, you know, I mean, it just seems like you're younger and younger, they're taking the natural rebellious nature out of people.
You almost see it as conditioning, really.
Yeah, exactly, conditioning, totally.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Like I said, I have kids now, and we have one kid who's getting ready to start pre-K. Spreading the seed. Yep. And you know, bullying is like the big thing now that they're on and all that. And now, apparently, if you get a mark for bullying in your record, it can impact your ability to go to college, to do these other things. It follows you around. Even potentially if you got in juvenile legal trouble, they could bring that up. But what's crazy about it is that if you bully, if someone's bullying you, right, and your kid's getting picked on, he's getting hit, he's getting his lunch taken, whatever, you know what I mean? Just traditional bullying shit. If they're teaching kids that if you don't report it to an authority figure and you try and stand up for yourself or defend yourself, then you're actually being a bully too. So because you're bullying the bully. So and I mean, if you think about it, it really goes back to the whole conditioning thing you were talking about, getting kids used to the idea that they can't handle things themselves and not stick up for themselves, to go to the authorities. You know what I mean? Go to the proper person that's meant to deal with that.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. That's pretty disturbing as well. And I guess it'll stay on your record too for a long time, or?
Yeah. They said it follows you all the way through your schooling and all that type of stuff. They were warning that.
I wonder how seriously colleges will take that. I mean, because like by the time, like, I mean, I would imagine most bullying takes place in probably like elementary school, middle school. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's high school bullies too, but.
And I think we want bullies to go to college because we don't want them to become cops. You know. So
true.
Yeah.
It's the school to police department pipeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's really messed up. I mean, I can see like if, you know, the kid was bullying somebody and like beat the shit out of them,
like took it way too far.
Yeah, and then that stuck on his record or whatever. Like I can understand that, but yeah, like the way you're putting it, it's like if you even defend yourself, you're a bully, you know, and you know it sends all the wrong messages.
And you always wonder how like we get to where we are today, and then it's this little stuff like this that ends up being implanted in people's psyches at a young age, and they just conditions them, like you were saying, just to kind of get used to that mentality of reporting it, don't deal with things yourself, go to the proper authorities.
Yeah.
Don't even say proper authorities. Say.
Well, I guess. I've been conditioned to say that. So,
yeah. Conditioned like a motherfucker.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, even before this, I mean, that's essentially what schools do. It's, you know, you're sitting there in a class. There's a leader of the class. You say the pledge every morning. You know, there's all sorts of conditioning going on, and this is just another way, another method of them to basically force people to strip themselves of their own rights. Essentially,
our son also wanted to bring a squirt gun to school for show and tell for his first day. That's how he was trying to like get us to buy it. He was like, "Oh yeah, I could. How about the squirt gun for show and tell?" And we're like, "No," because
that's
God forbid, like it gets reported, a cop storms in, and like you know what I mean, like oh God. So
like, how old do you think you were like the first time you read about like Lysander Spooner?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I was probably in my early 20s, I would say.
Are you a big Lysander fan too?
Who?
Are you a big fan of Spooner?
Yeah, he's all right, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I read about him when I was reading about the individualist anarchists.
I mean, like I like to think about you know, basically like I remember when I first learned about Spooner, I was still in my early 20s, and it was like I just remember thinking like, wow, this dude is fucking awesome, you know. You know, it would be so cool if I learned about this guy in school. And then when I think about it now, I think about like, wow, if I learned about like guys like Lysander Spooner in school, you know, I guess how much more evolved would I be now?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are the odds of you learning about that in school, though?
But I mean,
yeah, no, exactly.
Why would they want
a state school? Yeah.
Yeah.
If you think about it, though, I mean, the school is a pipeline just to get people regimented to the type of society that they want people to have. You know what I mean? All the things that are put in place.
Okay. Here's a free idea to somebody. Okay, some anarchist needs to make like a Lysander Spooner cartoon for kids. That'd be so fucking awesome.
Or how about just like a whole bunch of like anarchists? That's the thing. Like, you don't learn about any anarchists, and if you do, it's in the context of like the
feminist movement or some other context.
Well, I don't even remember learning about feminism.
Really?
Nah. In college, yeah, but not in high school. But yeah, like the only anarchists you learned about were like the anarchists that shot what's his name, Archduke Ferdinand, and started the
World War
One. Like, that was the only idea I had of an anarchist, was like just people that were
well, when
doing
you say,
violent
like,
things.
Thoreau was pretty anarchist.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, but they don't talk about that aspect. They just,
exactly. Yeah, totally.
They talk about like the transcendentalism, which is cool, but yeah, they don't talk about his like thoughts on government.
But thank God I learned about 2 years worth of Egyptology that has come in handy in my life. So.
Egyptology, yeah.
Did you? I mean, how? Yeah, I just, I don't know. Did you guys have to study Egypt? That's off topic.
I think. I mean, we had to study like Japan for a whole half a year.
Oh.
I mean,
But yeah, like I mean, anarchists have played a huge part in American history too, and I think going, if you broaden your term to all types of anarchists, even no matter what your opinions on are, the labor movement and all that type of stuff, anarchists played a huge thing on that. The Chicago riots that happened, that was because of shots were fired when an anarchist was speaking to a whole bunch of workers and stuff like that in Haymarket Square. So
right.
Feminist movement. I mean, all these things that have kind of opened up different doors in society. A lot of them have been hugely influenced by different anarchists.
Yeah, but you see, that's the thing. You never hear like I just remember learning about people that rebelled against the system, but they weren't rebelling against the government. They were rebelling against the robber barons and like the capitalism. That's what you learned about. Like, you didn't, or like something like slavery, but it was never like the dots were never drawn to like, this is a problem with government. It was just like, here were some bad people doing some bad things.
I think
you know what I mean?
I totally get what you mean. I think this comes back to the whole Hillary Clinton thing we were talking about, and why they feel like Black Lives Matter and other groups shouldn't shun them like they're the good guys, is because what you learn about reformist history. There's no one in history in school that I can think of, I don't know about you guys, that the good people that they talk about that got stuff done were reformists. It wasn't people that said there's anything inherently wrong about government, anything inherently wrong about capitalism. It's like you said, there were specific bad things or anything like that, or to corporatism rather.
Yeah.
You learn about reformists because it's not about questioning the everyday system. It's about questioning, there's bad people that work within the system. Like
right.
Tackling symptoms rather than problems.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Yeah. So, you wanted to talk about your little story about the MVA? Your little experience?
Oh, yeah. The MVA, where to start? So my emissions test was out of date, and I ended up having to get it fixed or whatever.
This is for Maryland? Or
yeah,
Virginia?
Maryland
okay.
MVA. I was in Michigan at the time. They don't have emissions tests there at all. So I had to drive back to Maryland, get the emissions test done. And when I did it, they said it was a year out of date or something like that. So I stood in the huge line. You're in the line. I'm pissed off. My air conditioner doesn't work for whatever fucking reason. The compressor's broken. So I'm sitting there in the heat, waiting in line. I finally get to the front of the line. The lady runs the test, and she's like, that's going to be $340. And I'm like, excuse me? She's like, yeah, you're 2 months overdue. So you're going to have to pay that fee. And I go,
they charge you, what is it, like $20 a day? Or
something ridiculous. So I go, whatever, I just do it because you have to get it done. You know what I mean? Yeah. What else? They're just going to fucking charge me up more money.
Yeah.
So I do it, and then she gets done, and she goes, okay, I hate to tell you this, but you're going to have to go back through the line again and pay $20. I'm like, excuse me? And she's like, yeah, your emissions test actually only brought you up until last month. And I'm like, wait, so it doesn't count from like today forward? Like, if it's really about emissions, you would think that like, oh, we know your car is good, the emissions aren't bad.
Right.
Like, we'll test you again in a year.
Right.
But because they weren't able to collect money from me last time for testing, then they wanted me to basically run the emissions test again, and that's the way that the system's set up. It has nothing to do with fucking emissions. Yeah. It has to do with fucking cash register and like cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. And if they could do it under the guise of environmentalism or whatever bullshit, they'll do it. But
right.
So I had to go back in the fucking line again. Or no, she was like, you could go inside and ask for a waiver for a week and then come back at a later day. I was like, no,
I'm already fucking here.
I was like, I asked her, couldn't you do it now? And she's like, oh, that's against our policy. You're going to have to go to the back of the line now. And I was like, oh, you got to be giving me a fucking break. I go through, get back in line, get to the front of the line. I'm pissed off by now. She doesn't even hook up the fucking machine. She just gives me a new printout with the new date after I paid the money.
Wow.
Well, I mean, at least that was kind of cool that she didn't make you hook up the machine again.
I guess. I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, I know
that was like
fault.
A personal decision on her, probably. You know,
right?
I mean, it kind of sucks that she made you wait through the entire line to do that.
But I mean, what pissed me off is that it's really about making fucking money for the state. Is really what it comes down to. It has nothing to do with
which MVA, which emissions testing place were you at?
The one near Dundalk in the city off 40.
You see, I go to one up in Westminster, and I've never had to wait in a line longer than like 2 people.
Yeah, I mean, the money is what really pissed me off.
Yeah.
The idea that it really wasn't about what they said it was about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was so transparent after that incident, like that.
Exactly.
So
it's just a fucking extortion racket, like everything else.
Yeah.
Speaking of extortion rackets, which town was it that implemented some sort of Speedtrap cap?
I believe a few places are doing it, and it sounds like the federal government's even going to make a limit. I mean, and it's like it's pretty bad. I mean, it just goes along with the whole police state thing, you know, and you know, it's you know, it's basically it's another reason why people don't respect cops. You know, like a lot of people don't. I think, you know, it's just they're revenue collectors. You know, they're just like the fat tax man. Mm-hmm. You know, and you know, if they were just going after murderers, rapists, robbers, you know, people that actually hurt people, people that committed real crimes where there was a victim, you know, I feel like I know I would feel a lot differently about them.
How do you feel about speed cameras?
Speed cameras? I don't like them.
I
mean, there's a number of reasons not to like them.
Well, okay. Do you believe there's any?
Haven't they proven to cause a lot of accidents?
What, the speed cameras?
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that true?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you know a camera's coming up and you
hit your brakes.
Slam on the brakes. Yeah.
Totally.
I do it all the time. Whenever
I mean, yeah, and I'm sure cops also cause accidents because of that, right? I mean, I know I hit my brakes whenever I see a cop, or whenever my radar detector goes off.
How bad is it though? You said the federal government was going to step in.
Yeah, exactly.
How bad is it when the federal government's like, all right, you guys got to keep this racket on the down low? People are starting
getting
to
a little
realize,
obvious.
You know,
yeah, I mean,
it's like the Godfather coming down and saying,
why would they want to cut off their revenue?
Right,
you know,
yeah.
it would have to be pretty bad. Like these numbers are. Apparently, there was like a study done or published or something, and then I guess that got people to like take more notice to it, and maybe they felt like, okay, yeah, we should probably calm this down, or we're gonna get noticed. You know, more.
Yeah.
What would be a good alternative to regulating roads?
What, with like speed? You're saying?
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. It's like, it's not necessarily that there shouldn't be somebody policing the roads, but the problem is you have a government monopoly over it. So we don't know what would work better. We don't know. I mean, maybe it is okay to pull over people for speeding, but maybe not. You know, the whole idea of running a speed trap. I mean, it's in the fucking name. Like, you're just trying to trap people. You're not sitting there just looking at people who are actually being dangerous. You're looking at, like, you know, soccer mom who's on the way to her fucking kid's practice and just happened to not look up from her speed and went like 15 over instead of 10, and now she's getting a $100 ticket. You know, that's not how I think policing the roads would work, you know, in a free society or whatever. I don't think necessarily that we wouldn't have speed limits or we wouldn't have fines for breaking those rules, but I think they would probably be managed a lot better, and they wouldn't be just used as revenue collection. It would actually be, well, it's in our best interest to keep these roads safe, you know, so we don't have traffic getting slowed down, which would hurt our revenue. And of course, you know, the humanitarian aspect of it. You know, I just think it could be managed better. But right now it's just, you know, you have like there's several roads in my town where it's like the speed limit is ridiculously low, and it's just it's a trap. It's you know like there's like a guy that sits at the end of this hill, and it's like if you don't ride your brakes all the way down the hill, you're gonna get fucked. So if you're not paying attention, and it's not like there's kids playing around, it's not a neighborhood, You know, it's just a fucking road that nobody even... There's really nothing around the road. And it's just like, why the fuck does it matter what speed someone's going here? You know, it's clearly you're just here to catch people. You know, you just found a good spot that just happened to have a good speed limit for you where you can just bust people, and you're just using that to your advantage.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned, like, there's a cop waiting at the bottom of the hill, and, you know, because there's a speed trap like that on my way to work every day.
Yeah.
And it's just at the bottom of this hill, and, yeah, I mean, you're going to gain momentum on this hill, and that's what that cop's banking on.
Right.
Like, no pun intended. Like, you know... He's banking on you're riding down this hill and getting momentum. So, or you can just ride your brakes the entire fucking time.
Exactly.
You know, and it's like, what sense does that make? You know, it's just a little ridiculous.
That's why I implore everybody, where it's legal, to get radar detectors.
What about where it's not legal?
I mean, do it, but you know,
be careful.
Just be careful with it. I wouldn't do it in Virginia because they will fuck you right in the ass pretty hard.
Oh, ridiculous.
Yeah.
When was the last time you guys got pulled over?
I got pulled over in Michigan for looking at my cell phone while I was driving.
Oh, one of those.
Yeah. Then he asked me, and I was like, yeah, I was just checking messages, and he was like, do you do this often? And I was like, well, if you want me to be honest with you, I do sometimes. And like, I guess he was annoyed by my answer, but he was kind of just like, all right, well, at least he's not lying. Because I think he wanted me to be like, no, I wasn't looking at it, like, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But he ended up just giving me a warning because I think I had out-of-state plates, and Michigan's real big on trying to get tourism right now.
Oh,
because
okay.
the state's, you know, has problems, so.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Not a lot of people going to Detroit.
Yeah. Would you want to go to Detroit?
Would I want to go to Detroit?
Yeah.
I mean, there's cool
I think it might be interesting. Like,
yeah,
there's
cool
not a lot of places that
there.
I wouldn't want to just see. You know?
Right? Yeah.
Maybe once I got there, I'd be like, yeah, fuck this place. But, you know, I mean, I'm sure there's got to be some cool aspect to Detroit.
There's actually a lot of, like, urban farming going on, and people kind of taking land that's no longer being used and figuring out how to do cool stuff with it, because it's essentially places no one fucking cares about anymore. Yeah,
I've seen about that, and I think that's really cool. You ever watch that Anthony Bourdain show? I think it's Parts Unknown.
Yeah.
Yep. It's the episode that he did in Detroit was pretty awesome.
Really?
Like, yeah, there was people like cooking like barbecue and shit in their front yard and selling it to their neighbors.
Oh yeah.
You know, and there was like he showed like a number of like you know, people were setting up restaurants inside their houses, and it's basically like, you know, Bourdain, as far as I can tell, is pretty socialist and pretty like statist, but at
really?
the same,
oh yeah.
I mean,
I always thought of him as a libertarian.
Well, I mean, he is in a lot of ways, but he is in some ways, and this show I would say was very libertarian, because it's basically like,
so that's my only exposure. I mean, are his shows, and I read his book Kitchen Confidential, and I don't know, from what I gathered, he's fairly anti-government. But
like, I mean, dude, like I like Anthony Bourdain a lot. Like I really dig him. I could watch his show.
Yeah.
And I have.
He's got a new show on Netflix too. It's called like Layover.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But like, I mean, like I love the dude a lot. But then I saw another episode of Parts Unknown where he like fucking went to Colombia.
Yeah.
And like this one dude was basically one dude in Colombia that he was interviewing was just talking about like how the United States should end the drug war, and the guy was making a lot of fucking sense, and he was like, so much of the violence here would be stopped, and Bourdain didn't really seem to like dive into it. He seemed to be pretty contrarian about it.
Really?
Yeah, he wasn't like totally contrarian, but it didn't seem like he thought that much about it. And you know, I would expect more from a person who you know, used to do a lot of coke, or he used to do like fucking heroin too.
Yeah,
he was, you know, I mean, I would think that he would have thought about it and came to the rightful conclusion that we should end the drug war, and he would want to use that as a chance to talk about it.
Yeah, that's a little disappointing.
Going back though to Detroit, one of the things that I think is cool about
I was still in the other one next. I was.
Look at take now. I apologize.
Fuck
Twice.
That's all good.
I apologize.
Yeah.
No, but going back to places like Detroit, the thing that I think is cool about them, and the thing that I think libertarians should kind of embrace, is taking spaces like that, going to places like that, taking spaces where essentially there's all this space to kind of experiment with that no one really cares about anymore, and you can get away with a lot more.
Yeah, but then it's like the problem is, as soon as you start becoming really successful, then they're going to want your money. They're going to want to tax you. Right. They're going to come in with the regulations. So it's kind of like, I think it's really cool, dude. I've talked to a number of people, like, and we've said, like, okay, so I've seen articles in Detroit, you can buy houses for like $50 or something, you know what I mean?
Right.
You can get a lot of cheap properties because, people are leaving and the market's flooded with them, and of course, there's probably gonna be a lot of fixer-uppers, but you can get some fucking really cool shit, so what if we got a bunch of anarchists and we bought up a block?
That'd be an awesome experiment.
There's people doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's good. There's like a whole thing, like what is it called? Purposeful communities or something.
Dude, like, I would be all about that. And it almost sounds like it would be a great place to do like a Free State project.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I wonder what the population is in Detroit nowadays.
In Detroit?
Yeah.
Oof, I'm trying to think. I was just in Michigan. It's lower than Baltimore, I want to say now. Somewhere around like 500,000, maybe. But you got to think about it. Detroit.
Really? I thought Baltimore. How many people are in Baltimore?
Like 670 or something like that. 670,000.
Yeah, I know it's actually less now than there was in like the 60s.
Right. But yeah. Detroit, think about this. Even at Baltimore's height, Detroit was about 4 times the size of that population-wise. It was one of the 4 biggest cities in America for a long time.
Wow.
Because of the Motor City, you know what I mean? All that industry there and stuff. And so you have a city that's essentially been made for millions of people to live in. Now than less than 1 million people live there. There's my family's from Detroit, and they talk about whole entire neighborhoods that just are no longer there. The streets are there, but they've tore down all the housing. So it's basically like these tracts of housings with just the roads and nothing else. It's really fucking eerie.
But yeah, that's a lot of space that you can work with, and you can just buy that property super cheap, right?
Yeah, $500 I heard. Yeah, and
that would rock so much.
But
just buy up a few blocks.
Right.
What is the how safe would that be?
Seriously, like you buy up a few blocks, okay, and then before you go, okay, say you think of a business that you could start there.
Right.
Just
a music store.
I don't know. Just think of any kind of business that you could, a music store, that would be fucking cool, yeah. But like any sort of business that you could get these, so you get a bunch of libertarians to move to Detroit. Think about a business that you could use to like employ all these people, and at the same time, take part in the community there.
Right, to build a community and have a focal point to bring.
And you get activists to move there. So while they're there, they're doing business with people, and while they're doing business with people, they're talking to people. They're making a positive influence.
Absolutely, yeah. I think one of the things that you hit is that, like, part of the problem is that I have friends that aren't libertarians, and they're like, oh man, libertarians are always bitching about stuff. And so I think, I get what they're saying to a certain extent, but I think one of the things we need to start doing is creating real alternatives to things that are going on, I guess. And so something like that would be a real alternative to that. It would be a viable option.
Yeah, that would be fucking cool.
Well, it's like really putting the idea of agorism into like a real solid practice.
And I'm sure you could probably talk to, so my whole thing at first when I thought about that was zoning laws, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just, but I'm sure if someone was willing to come in there and buy the property, and you were like, even if you went to the city and you were like, this is what our kind of plan is at first, I'm sure they'd be all for it, because it'd be people moving in and stuff like that. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would be fucking cool.
I think that's pretty much all we got for today.
All we got.
That's all we got. Don't forget to vote Deez nuts.
Yeah, vote for Deez, and take it easy, guys. Live free.